Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jacob with Unleashing Intuition Secrets, joined today by David Corbin. Multiple times. I'm looking at one of your websites and so forth. There you have all kinds of accolades. Wall Street bestseller, transplanted New Yorker, living in California, San Diego area for over 30 years. Been inspiring, educating people for more than 28 years as a keynote speaker and business advisor in the areas of marketing, branding, organizational and cultural development, sales, and more. Known as the mentor to mentors, David has been a behind-the-scenes secret weapon for organizations large and small. His tag phrase, which he garnered at the 1969 Woodstock concert, is, "You're either green and growing or ripe and rotting, and you're never standing still." His style has been described as Robin Williams with a doctorate in business because of his quick-witted style coupled with solid, no-nonsense, down-to-earth business tactics and strategies, which he has field tested over his career. So, David, thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Quite amazing. Just a little bit that we've talked. You're pretty broad ranged as far as working for the individual, and then all the way to corporations, and as we're going to talk about, even to the point of Donald Trump and his brand. So, wow, incredible.
Not really. I'm just old. I'm not smart. I'm just old.
Yeah, you've been around a while. You pick up a few things, but you got an incredible story going all the way back to Woodstock. Wow, hitchhiking in the rain. That's great.
Yeah, I actually did a TED talk about that. And some of the profound wisdom that I actually garnered from there, it's a long story, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no doubt. So, you talk about, TED Talk. You've been on there a couple of times. Like I said, Wall Street Journal, 4 times bestseller, ABC, Forbes, Inc. Is there anything you haven't been on at this point? You've been all over the place. It's pretty amazing.
They're trying to get me on Good Morning America about this latest book I wrote about America. So it's one of my goals and shit. I mean, I'm not promoting the book like I did the other books, to make it onto the Wall Street Journal list and stuff like that. I'm really hoping that this bubbles, this message of mine in the Reawakening America, Illuminating Her Brand book, bubbles up, so people start talking about her values. What are our values that unite us? I'm tired of the divisiveness, and that's not a new story. Everybody's tired of the divisiveness, but I want people to start talking about why the hell people risk their lives and the lives of their family to form this great nation of ours. And we're losing that, and I don't want to lose that. So I dedicated a lot of my time and attention to write this book to get that freaking conversation going.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, and your other work, Brand Slaughter and the Illuminated Brand, you wrote about the COVID-19 hospital situation. I like that story. Very, very good. Very insightful. You've actually, when I listened to that as audiobook, I was like, wow, that's a great story. It's nice fiction, but that's not fiction, is it? You actually did create some amazing, award-winning, very insightful, very constructive ways that people can overcome stress, and especially for hospital staff. We want those guys to be operating at their best, but you actually created something for that. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's really funny. I wrote a book years ago called Illuminate, Harnessing the Positive Power of Negative Thinking. Mm-hmm. And because I read all the positive mental attitude literature books, and nowhere in it does it say we should ignore negative issues. Nowhere. But people like to take the easy way out and just focus in on the positive and ignore the negative. So I learned from one of my mentors, we can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it. Mm-hmm. I'll say it again. We can't solve everything. It can't solve everything we face, but we can't solve anything unless we face it. And in my book, Illuminate, I teach face it, follow it, and fix it. face it, follow it, and fix it. And my inventions, for example, all come from that. Like what was mentioned in the Illuminated brand book is the rejuvenation station.
Yeah.
The rejuvenation station. It's all over. It's in every city. It's every hospital in New York City.
Wow.
It's all over the country. The VA is buying them more than anybody else. And it's about this. Face it. Doctors and nurses in the emergency department are burning out right and left.
Mm-hmm.
Stress, burnout, turnover. It was over $4 billion problem before COVID. Now you take that and you follow it. Well, why is that? And what happens if you don't fix it in the future? And what's causing it? There's no interruption of their stress pattern. So what could be the fix? Well, we tripped out on it and said, well, what if we create a little pod, 4 foot by 4 foot? You open the door, you sit down, and you're confronted with nature video. And in 3 to 8 minutes, you can go from your crazy roles and goals down into your soul. So we faced it, followed it, and fixed it, and it's freaking kicking ass. Knowing full well in medicine, you have to have evidence-based. So we measure how are you feeling coming into it. You go through your video journey. How are you feeling now? And it captures all the data. And that comes from the Illuminate model. It's that simple. And that's how I invent products. And it's also how I grow myself, build my clients, because I do mentoring one-on-one. Is you face it, follow it, and fix it. What are you not facing? That if you follow it into the future, you're in deep shit. So then you get to work to either reduce the power of that or eliminate it. Mic drop.
Fantastic. And I think this could apply to everything in life easily. I see, the parallels in my career as a Navy SEAL and the CIA, going, hunting terrorists and all kind of crazy stuff that we did. Overcoming in the early stages, facing my greatest challenge, which was overcoming cold in the water, and then fixing that. And the way I fixed it is kind of like what you're talking about. I just kind of went into that, very intuitive nature boy type mind, and I was like, just let it go through me. And that from that point on, I can get in the coldest water you can think of. It can be ice water here in Lake Tahoe where I'm at. I used to show everybody, see, you can do this too. And I got in the water and it was like ice everywhere. And I just just went in that state. So yeah, that's pretty impressive that you actually built a little, something that people can go in and enter that consciousness state. And I remember seeing that in the book and I was like, if someone would invent this would be like worldwide, it would go crazy. And you actually did. It's great. Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. And you want to hear something crazy is we came out of clinical testing in about 4 months before this thing called COVID hit. Right. So now we come out of testing. They love it. They need it. They got to have it. And we're excited because I put a bunch of time and money into it. Then they have a pandemic and I can't put people in a little closed in space, closed box, during an airborne pandemic. So I illuminated it, face it, follow it, and fix it. And the face it is I can't put them in this small area. Follow it. Well, if I want to help them, I can't put them in the area. What could the fix be? So I fixed it by creating a kiosk. And that kiosk is on wheels with noise isolating headphones. And it won the International Healthcare Design Award for freaking innovation worldwide by illuminating it, you see. And
wow.
And so, yeah, so we're kicking ass on that. We're putting it in the sheriff's department in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
I just did a workshop for the sheriff and her entire command staff, 30 of her top people. She's the first female sheriff in the 175-year history of San Diego Sheriff Department. So I just had the honor of taking them through the Illuminated brand workshop. Yeah, and so they could face it, follow it, and fix it, and they could illuminate their brand. How do they want to be described? And that's a whole formula. And maybe if we have time, I could tell you about that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So I'm very pleased that you're helping, the sheriffs and so forth. They definitely need it as well. I've done speeches and talks to certain groups like that as well in the past. It does help them. I came out with a book. It was the Intuitive Warrior, kind of like what we're talking about. I help people go into that consciousness state. But having what you have, that one booth, that's phenomenal. Anyone can go into that, and that's just absolutely brilliant. So now, you're obviously helping people on a massive scale, and you've been doing that for a long time. Your philosophy is fantastic. It's helping people. Obviously, businesses, excel. How does that move into, now you've done some new work. Tell us about the new work and how that moves into what we're doing now with the United States.
Well, let me say this. We're all sitting ducks. We're all sitting ducks with AI-driven, avaricious marketers, right? We talk about, how it sucks having, maybe foreign nations hacking our elections and stuff, right? And it happens maybe every 2 years, 4 years, whatever. But we're being hacked every 20 to 30 minutes by avaricious marketers armed with AI, and that sucks. I did a speech in Cancun, Mexico, just recently, just a couple weeks ago. And I went over to the corner of their stage and I went time out. And I don't know why I decided to do this, but I did, okay? Because I'm crazy and I'm old and I can get away with whatever the hell I want. So I went over to the corner and I went, "Mommy, I'm angry. I'm pissed off." And Mommy said, "David, watch your language, number one, and sit down at the table, young man." So I sat down at the table. She made me a bologna and cheese sandwich and she cut off the crust, and I ate it. And obviously I realized I wasn't angry. I was hungry, right? And the point is, Mommy knew me better than I knew myself. Today, marketers with AI freaking know us better than we know ourselves. And oh, by the way, I don't think they have the best intentions in mind for us like Mommy did. And so what I said was, so now what do we do about that? We must hack ourselves to our highest values and beliefs, our humanity. If we don't, we're handing away the keys to our kingdom. We're giving away our free will, that which separates us to a degree from animals and all. We must be hacking ourselves to our humanity. We talk about Homo erectus, and how about Homo spiritus? I think we're moving into the degree of Homo spiritus, and it's our humanity, but it ain't going down if you're not consciously hacking yourself to your highest values and beliefs. Boom, mic drop.
No doubt about it. Wow. So that's what, a lot of us have been saying. We the people have to take this on board, and we have to rise above this. And that's definitely, I think, what the Trump administration has been giving us the ability to do. One of the few times in history that we've been offered that. It seems like it's been a nonstop, pressing on humanity, whittling us down. But now we have that opportunity to rise and, like you said, hack ourselves and reach another level, because we've been hacked. So we got to hack out of our hack. That's brilliant. I love it.
That's it. We the people, we need to take things back, but first we need to take ourselves back. We the people, me the people. Start here. Start here. Start in the mirror. Start with yourself. I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah, we're doing it. How are you doing? Well, life sucks. I'm all messed up. I'm off balance, but I'm in favor of. Yeah, starts here. It all starts here, baby. I say it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And so at least start here. You might not go with the 1. That's on you, right? But go inside. And so that's what the rejuvenation station does. I teach something called meditation. Go inside. Listen. Our thoughts yell at us. Our emotions scream at us, but our soul, it whispers to us. So it's slow the F down with meditation or meditation, which is another story. Go deep inside, then know who you are, why you are, how you are. Stand strong and tall in your being. I say, with your feet in the lettuce, anchored to the earth, and your head to God, and walk tall and straight, knowing who you are. Be still and know I am. And just dig on yourself, because you can't give what you don't have, right? So you can't opine on all this shit if you don't know who the hell you are. So I said, first go inside, take personal responsibility. Me, the people, then we, the people.
Oh, that's fantastic. And yeah, that's pretty much how I began to excel at my chosen field in the SEAL teams. As I started to go inside myself and slow myself down so that I could do the explosive type stuff and react in less than a split second to some of the things that happen to us, not just in training but also in combat. So I've been in a lot of combat situations over my life where I was able to react on an incredible level because I'd slowed myself down in lots of different situations that were high stress and learned to work through that. And that's definitely the key, one of the keys of life.
Yeah, you didn't do that, you're ringing a bell. I mean, you're right. I mean, you got to go inside. You got to know yourself. Know thyself. To thine own self be true, and it shall follow as the night, the day. Thou canst not be false to any other. Beautiful. And that's it, man. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's pretty simple. But everything is basic and simple. There's a big gap between awareness and attentiveness. Mm-hmm. We're aware of something, but we don't do diddly about it. Like this great nation was aware of a whole lot of shit and didn't become attentive to it until recently. And I'll tell you, it saddens me because with our debt, we are a sitting duck in the middle of an ocean with bad actors who want to blow us the hell out of the water. And we stayed numb for so long. The Democrats and the Republicans, all of them are responsible, in my humble opinion, for the situation that we're in. And now, hopefully, we're waking up. Game time. We put it off too long. The final exam is tomorrow. You got to pull an all-nighter because you put it off too damn long. So now we're pulling the all-nighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you've been Inc. Magazine said you're in the top 5% of speakers we've ever had. You're trusted by the top brands: Fox News, Home Depot, Visa, Domino's, ABC, AT&T, Calvin Klein. You're all over the place. Everybody loves your work. You're a great speaker, and you're fun to listen to because you joke around. How did you get to that point? Tell us a little bit more about David and how he got here.
Yeah, well, he was smart enough to shovel snow in the winter and mow lawns in the summer. Yep. And realized then that he was kind of an entrepreneur. And I learned about business because I learned about taxation. My father wouldn't let me use the snow shovel until I did our walk. He made me pay that tax. Same thing with our lawn, So I've been sort of an entrepreneur. I'd buy cheap 6-packs of soda, put them in a garbage pail, bring them over to the Little League game with some ice and sold them and made a profit. I kind of dug that. So I've always been sort of a figure it outer guy. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I just rebuilt. In a half hour's time, I put a new carburetor and adjusted the timing on my golf cart. I did that in a half hour's time. I love the process of creative fixing, and I love solving problems. I just love it. That's always sort of been within me and stuff. Grew up a really low self-esteem kid. thought I was a piece of shit. And if I forgot, my father was right there to remind me, So, so I developed all these skills of communication and persuasion and influence to try to get dad to pay attention to me. And I learned those skills for all the wrong reason, right? Looking for love in all the wrong places kind of a thing, right?
Right.
But then eventually, you grow up and you step into your greatness and you realize, well, I'm far from a piece of shit. I'm a good guy, and God don't make no mistakes. But the cool thing is all the skills that I developed for communication and persuasion that I used for deleterious means, I can now use for good means. And I turned that corner with no regret. In fact, I was grateful. In fact, before dad passed, I was able to thank him for playing that role for me. And with honesty, I was grateful for that because I wouldn't be who I am had he not been through who he is. And some of us believe, I do, that we come into this plane and we sort of gave that playbook to our parents. But that's a metaphysical story for another time. But so I was that kid, and I grew up and I had this skill set and all, and I've been using that for good reason. Now, I at first used those skills as an avaricious dirtbag salesman. Oh my God, I was good. I sold stereos and I was the best. They call me Jaws. I'd bite into a customer I wouldn't let go until I sold them, And I didn't care about their money and what I cared about I swung the pendulum a little bit far. In fact, I'm working on a book right now called The Spiritual Opportunist, From Me to We. Because a lot of people I know who are spiritual opportunists, they're looking for ways to bless and love and serve others. And they learn those skills kind of that way. And I'm writing this book because I don't want them to go into regret or shame or blame or guilt. No, you went through what you went through. You needed to be who you needed to be. Now, bless, love, and serve yourself and shoot that love towards other people and solve problems. That's where my inventions come in, my mentoring comes in, my speaking, my consulting. I just closed a deal to be a fractional senior vice president of culture and productivity for an enormous company. And it's just an honor to be able to serve with my skill set, everything I've learned, and I could bring it, and it's fulfilling to me. That F word I love, fulfilling. It fills me with joy and happiness. So that's another form of fixing shit, right? Fixing stuff and solving for problems. I dig this, man. I'm exhausted now because I did 13-hour mentoring session from 8 in the morning to 9 p.m. We didn't have lunch and we talked through dinner. There's a client of mine, new client, first session. He's a rocket scientist, literally a rocket scientist. He invented something that's on 6,500 space vehicles, including the Mars rover thing. It's a really interesting guy. And it's an honor to be able to work with him and fix some things, so that he can go out and teach the value of culture in business, of fun and family, and have zero freaking defect because all the shit he made had to work in space. And there's no opportunity for error, or a multi-billion-dollar launch would have to be put to the side, or God forbid, an astronaut could lose their life. So it's a lot of fun, and it's all the same thing: face it, follow it, and fix it.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
So you work, like you said, you work one-on-one with people.
Yeah.
And it's I've done some of that work in the past too, wilderness stuff, and blindfolded or bury them in the ground and have them meditate, all kind of crazy stuff. So who are some of the, if you can tell us, who are some of the, or maybe you can talk around it, who are some of the greatest people that you work with that have been, very instrumental in helping humanity and change humanity and so forth?
Everyone I work with, everyone I work with, I only work with them if I get them, if I resonate with them, if I vibe with them. I need to be on the same or similar vibrational frequency as them.
Nice.
That's how I track them, because I've done zero marketing in 40 years. zero marketing of my
Wow.
mentoring and my consulting and speaking, zero. So I attract them in through the law of attraction. I attract them in. I know that sounds a little crazy, but actually I wear it as a badge of honor, because I'm busy and I don't do any marketing, which talks to the messages that I'm sharing. So each and every one of the people that I work with is, as you just described, making a big difference on their planet, right?
Mm.
So it's think globally, act locally kind of thing. They're all doing good shit. Now, my former business partner, a marvelous speaker and thought leader named Brian Tracy. I don't know if you know his name, but before Tony Robbins, he was the best-selling author on audio and video on the planet.
Yep.
And he and I were just together at his house, and he's 80 years old, and I watch what he's done to help people in this world in an area of business and wealth and stuff, but also in personal and professional development. So he's an example of someone who I'm honored to have worked with, and Academy Award winner and presidents of corporations. And I make sure I choose my clients wisely based upon that. Would I invite them to my home to have dinner with my bride and I on a Sunday night? And so that's sort of my sort mechanism. And I've only had to fire a few mentoring clients. I mean, if they're not doing the work, intercession, then what's a sense? I'm not taking your money for that, man. I don't need that karma. So in answer to your question, 100% of the people I work with, or 99.9%.
Wow, fantastic. So here we have the Trump brand. Trump brand is maybe his last administration wasn't as popular, but we went through a very, I think, negative period in United States history the last 4 years, and now here we are. His brand is back. I think his brand is probably more popular and more progressive than anything I've ever seen, and since I've been alive. What are your thoughts on where this is going?
Well, I don't like the man. I voted for him. Yep. I don't like the man. I'm grateful to him for many, many things. I don't know what's going to follow him. Scares the snot out of me. I don't know what's going to follow him. I was just smoking cigars with Congressman Darrell Issa. And Darrell is he's an interesting guy. I mean, he's one of the few guys in Congress who went in a gazillionaire. He's the wealthiest member of Congress, and he went in that way. He didn't pimp himself out. You know what I'm saying? He's a good man. He's a good man. And I don't know what's going to follow. He followed this book I wrote on America, and he's I'm grateful that he sees the value of talking about values of this great nation. I don't think, for example, Donald Trump is living the values that I live, and that's it. Nor did John F. Kennedy, nor did a lot of these guys, and yet they did what they did for this nation, and that's cool. So I need to separate that out. And oh, by the way, let me tell you something. If, God forbid, you were down and you're coding and your airway is stuck, I'm going to take a pen top, push that thing through, and let you breathe.
Right.
So you don't care if it's a dirty pen top. You want the result, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
I want the freaking result. And that's why, if I don't dig the guy, that's one thing. So what? Shut up. Get her done. Get her done. You know what I mean?
Love it.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't want that pen top in there. It's only a Bic, and I'm a Mont Blanc. Shut up. So that's sort of where I fall on that one, because I don't know what the deal is with all this Epstein and all that good stuff, and we don't need to talk about that. What we want to talk about is this great nation and how we're going to grab that sucker back from the clutches of extreme lefty weirdo shit, and they scare me. See, I believe the Republican Party is a party of philosophy, and I don't see that happening elsewhere. But like I say, the Republicans got us into this pile of poop. They were all part of it. They're all complicit as far as I'm concerned. So it's going to take some very creative thinking, some very ballsy activities and actions, and do what needs to be done. Then I hope we can stabilize the ship, God willing. But you know what? I think it's going to take God. I just don't see the mechanisms yet in place that could right this ship. You know, in my book, America is this woman, and she's shaky on her feet. She goes up to her mentor, whose name is C. David, and she goes up to him. She goes, "Man, I need your help. I mean, I'm forgetting who I am. I'm losing track of who I am, and I feel like I'm everything to everybody and ain't nothing to nobody. I'm messed up. I need your help. You've been with me since my birth. I need your help now, big time." And he's like, "Oh man," he says to himself, like, "Yeah, I'm feeling the same way, you know, but I've helped her since she's born." He says, "Yes, America, I'll help you. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you out to a corporation. That happened to have been Apple. I'm going to send you out to this corporation. I'm going to hook you up. You're going to go there. They'll give you a little bit of a tour. And in that process, I think you're going to remember who you are. You'll remember who you are." And so she goes there. She remembers some of her values. She comes back and she debriefs with her mentor, C. David. And here's the key, Michael. As she and David are debriefing, she's talking about some of the values that she stands for and talks about how that corporation lives some of it, but also in their debrief, they start talking about where she went astray with slavery, women's right to vote, polluting our rivers and streams and stuff. And then he says, "You know what? I'm going to send you out to another corporation." And the same thing happens. She goes, she remembers, they debrief, and she goes through that. And the reader, you and me, we the people, are remembering America's fundamental values. We're seeing examples of where she went astray and how she got right back on, you know, Watergate and you know, the whole, you know, segregation and all this stuff. And at the end, she's sitting by the fireplace with him. And you got to read the book, because I'm going to give you sort of the end. But when you read the book, it's pretty heavy. At the end, she goes, "You know, you've been my mentor my whole life. You've taken me through everything. You've helped me correct shit and all. But I know your name is C. David. What does the C stand for? I've never asked you what the C stands for." And he says, "That is the most important name I could ever have. My name is Citizen." Ooh. And it's the citizen who's always been with her to keep her on track, to live her values. And boom, there's the mic drop. That's the book, Reawakening America.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's the way it's got to be. There's only way. And so, yeah, Donald Trump or, you know, whoever's going to replace him, or God forbid, the Democrat Party comes back in again. I don't think it will, but who knows? Maybe there won't be any parties. That's what I hope in the future. There's no parties at all. We're able to, because I know a lot of Republicans. I've you know, had a lot of Republicans on my show. I've supported them. They were like a shoe-in to win, and then the GOP came in and sabotaged them, and because they didn't want them to win. Because they had some kind of deal with the other side, and it's like, wow, it's like, God, it's like none of these parties are good. So we need just the best person, like a David Corbin type person. You know, it's like you know, would be willing to do that. I can imagine you be will. I wouldn't want to do it, but you know, who would? Donald Trump, yeah, he's been groomed for it, I think, for most of his life. I think a lot of these people are. groomed for these positions. But, is it for the citizen like you talk about? Not often, not often. It's for another group of people that seem to benefit more than anything. So yeah, it's a ongoing situation. I think that's a book like that can help a lot of people start to see and be guided in the direction that we need to go. We, the people.
Yeah, and let's people have one. They might have one placard on there, during elections, one guy, another guy or woman or whatever. And all of a sudden they take the garbage out front and they're not talking to each other. They don't make eye contact. That ain't healthy. That falls right into the hands of Kim Jong-un and other individuals who want to see us divided like that. Right. And if we don't hack ourselves to our values, we're up the creek. And you don't know what party. It's a funny thing. Why do they even call it a party? We ain't got shit to celebrate. What's this party? Right? Yeah, it's a tough situation. We've been in tough situations before, real tough situations. There was a time when we had like over 100 Nazis infiltrate our Congress. I didn't know that until I read about that. And I mean, it's a long story, but if you research the history, the rich history of this great nation, as I'm doing now, oh my God! I mean, I've got Ben Franklin throughout this book and his virtues and stuff, and got some real American heroes in here. We have built an immune system with that document you may have heard of, which I have in all of my buildings on my property here. It's called the Constitution of the United States. I've got a library behind me. It's in there amongst other American history and stuff. When you look at that, we are worth fighting for. We're the first nation that took the monarchy and chopped it up in little pieces and gave it to each and every one of us. That's never happened before. We must preserve this great nation. And we do it when we recognize why people in the 1700s went through all the crap they went through and fought for this. And it's with that courage that we need to fight for this, we the people. And so my small part in it is just remind people of our values. I've got a section in the back of the book for book clubs with questions that they can go through. And I remind them, have those conversations with civility. Civility. One of the places that David sent America out to is a company called iCivics. It was started by Sandra Day O'Connor, the Supreme Court justice. And it's all teaching civics to young students. Do you know we stopped teaching civics as a course in American schools in 1970? All it is now is a little section of social studies. Yep. 1970, we stopped teaching it. And quite frankly, in my opinion, there were people who were banging on the Capitol on that fateful January 6th day, screaming, America, America. And if you were to ask them, tell me 3 good things about America, I don't think they could answer. Their answer would be, America, America. In fact, on the 4th of July, I was visiting my kids in Newport News, Virginia. And so we were at the pool, and I asked people, because they all say Happy 4th. I go, thank you. And I'm kind of curious, what do you think is one of the great qualities and characteristics of this great nation? Nobody had an answer, except one woman. She had the little espresso coffee stand by the corner of the pool there, and she said the word opportunity. And I went, good for you. I gave her a hug. I said, you're the only one who came up with something. And I said, why do you feel we have that opportunity? She didn't know. And I told her, we have that opportunity because of the courageous activities of our founders and our militia, our armies that fought for this great nation of ours. That's why you have opportunity. Good for you. I'll have a double espresso.
That's great. So I've been all over the world in combat situations, working with different groups. And I remember, a lot of these groups, I was in Yemen, I was in Libya, I was in Iraq, Afghanistan, you name it, combat zone, Pakistan. And I was like, these people are screwed. They don't have it. They're like, whoever, comes in, that's, has the power, that's who we're going to follow. And I was like, it's like, we're here to help you become we, the people, like we are. And you don't have that concept. And so you're bringing up some really good points. Very few people anywhere in the world have these concepts or understand them. I was fortunate. My high school coaches were the ones that taught me civics. And so I had to pay attention.
Yeah, right.
But that worked out pretty good actually in the long run. But no, most people I don't think do.
I didn't. I mean,
I
didn't give a shit about it. When I was growing up, I was too interested in getting stoned and girls.
Yeah.
I wasn't a student yet, and I'm a student now.
Totally. Yeah. And a great teacher. You're learning some great stuff, and that's the way I am too. If I learn something good that seems to work exceptionally well, I got to share it. It's like, but how many people are like that? We need to get more people like that. Involved. That's real civics right there. Getting involved, knowing what works, what's right, and then carrying it forward and working regardless of the consequences. Sometimes you have to push forward.
Yeah, man. I love hearing you say that. And wouldn't you agree that there are many people who are pitching their messages because they're really good pitchmen, but they ain't got no substance behind them. Yeah. They're just pitching. I mean, I call that politician. Sorry, that's politician. They're really good at pitching, but they're a Hollywood set. There ain't nothing behind them. Yeah. That's dangerous. I mean, that's one of the dangers of social media, because you have lions and lambs clothing. You have people who they don't have much of a message. They're not being it. They're just saying it, and they got a good rap. They talk pretty, and they influence the sheep. Right. And that's how elections happen in many regards. And it scares me. And there's a guy who was the father of that, the individual who started public relations, the father. You've got to research this guy. His name was Edward Bernays, Bernay. Oh,
great. Yeah, we're talking about that. I'm glad you brought it on.
Dig this guy. So he started public relations and publicity, right? And he was like really good at it. So the American Tobacco Company hired him and said, we're already selling tobacco to 50% of the population, men. We need you to help us sell it to women, right? So how are you going to do that? And he thought, and he figured it out. And this is what he did. Dig this. This is a trip. So he told all of the newspapers in New York, this is around 1910, I'm going to say. He told all of them, be at the Macy's Day Parade. It was then called the Thanksgiving Day Parade. Be at the corner of 33rd and 3rd at 2:00. They said, why? And he said, just be there. They said, no, why? He said, be there. They said, well, then we're not coming. And they sent him letters saying, we're not coming. Well, of course, they all showed up at 33rd and 3rd at 2:00. And at the parade, at that point, at that corner, and at that time were the suffragettes. Remember them? The women who were marching for the rights to vote and shit like that. And at that point, the women stopped. They lifted, hiked their skirts, and out of their little pantaloons, they pulled out a cigarette. And they lit the cigarette and said, these are the torches of freedom and equality. So now The cigarette became a symbol for equality, and now they could smoke cigarettes instead of in the barns. They could smoke them out there. It was brilliant, right? That's
Yeah.
a brilliant. Okay, that guy, because he was so effective, President Woodrow Wilson wanted to sell the First World War, so President Wilson hired him to sell to the American people the First World War.
Wow.
And the guy was freaking good. So so dig this. So then he sponsors his uncle from Vienna to come. His uncle was a guy named Sigmund Freud. And they started using sex in marketing to create the consumer nation. So people would go in deep debt. His name, and he wrote a book called On Propaganda. That book was picked up by Himmler and Goering in the Nazis, and they used that book to create the entire Holocaust. And oh, by the way, Edward Bernays was Jewish, and so was his uncle Sigmund Freud. He had no idea that that book was going to be used that way. That is what began the formation of publicity, public relations, and influence and propaganda. And it has seeped into our great nation throughout. And we are all under the influence of it until we hack ourselves.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Yeah, that's a great story. Wow.
It's evil and brilliant. And so because I'm a student and I'm an author, this is my 14th book, I'm working on my 15th, I have a backstage pass to the Library of Congress. You can too. Everyone who's listening can get that same backstage pass to the Library of Congress because we own it. Okay, we own it. So we can get a pass. They got to do a security check. So I go there, they frisk me and all. I get a locker. I can only take certain things in. I could request boxes of original documents. I've had Frederick Douglass's letters in my hand. So I had Edward Bernays boxes. And in my hands, I had the script that was handed out to the suffragettes in brown, they probably shouldn't have let me hold it, right? Because pieces will break off. It was in my hand. I had the letters that they said, no, we're not going to show up at 33rd and 3rd. I mean, it's kind of amazing when you know your rights as a citizen and you opt to execute for those rights. So I've seen it up close. It's dangerous. He's a very dangerous guy, and so too are a lot of political publicists taking an individual who has nothing but money and gets him elected. That's a perversion of our system.
Totally agree. Yep. No question about it. So David, it's fantastic talking with you. I know you got to go on a little trip. You're going to be out. I'm glad we got to slide this in. Absolutely fantastic. I hope we get to talk some more. Gosh, what an amazing man. So your website, davidcorbin.com, Stop Brand Slaughter. You've got books, like you said, multiple books on Amazon. I was looking through those. Great. I've listened to one of them. It's very easy to understand. I highly recommend your work. I watched some of your stuff on TEDx. Very good, very good. So you're definitely one of those people that America should be looking at. Where do you think it goes from here?
As they say, GOK, baby. God only knows. God only knows. I mean, if there's a second coming, come on, man. Come on. We're ready. We got the landing pad. Come on now. I don't know where it goes. I don't know where it goes. I guess it goes where we the people direct it to go.
I agree. Yep.
If we all unite behind the banner, and I thank you for what you've done, for sharing messages, good messages, sharing people, thoughts, ideas, and stuff. That's a big, 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 big start, a big leverage point. I wrote a series of books called From WTF to OMG with some LOL, Unpacking Life's Hidden Lessons. because we've all been through we go through situations that are, what the fertilizer's going on here, only to realize later on, OMG, that was actually a gift. LOL, I almost missed it. And I want people to know that when you're in that traumatic, dramatic WTF situation, there's usually a lesson, a blessing, a gift, a leverage point. So when you're in that deep pile of you know what, immediately start asking yourself, what could be the lesson here? What could be the gift? And seek and you shall find kind of a thing. It's not always there. I mean, you're not gonna find it if your kid was just shut up in an elementary school. Then shut up, David Corbin. There's no OMG in that WTF. But most of them there are. And don't delay. Don't extend that line of misery and pain. Start looking for the gift. It's usually there. God is not a moron. Seek and ye shall find. I don't know what the OMG is going to be from the times that you and I live in, Michael.
Right.
But I know there's an OMG, and I'm just going to keep looking.
Totally agree. And those are the greatest teachers, no question about it. Don't get so wrapped up in, oh, why me? It's probably because you need it, right? If you're in that situation, a lot of times, unfortunately, when you do the hindsight, it's like, of course I had to go through that. So yeah, great insights, David. Great advice. I love your work. I hope everybody checks out your work and takes a dive into it. You're going to love it. Thanks a lot for joining us today, and I look forward to hopefully some future conversations.
That'll be great. Michael, you owe me a cigar.
All right, definitely.